Coming up next on Access Framingham TV, returning guest, Framingham resident Joel Winett shares his trip to Barcelona that he took with his lovely wife Ruth in October and November of 2014. Stay tuned. Hello, welcome to Travels with Jack. I'm your host, Jack Barron, and today my guest is Joel Winett, a frequent visitor to Travels with Jack. Today, Joel will share with us a vacation trip that he and his wife Ruth took to exciting Barcelona, Spain. We'd like you to be a guest on our show and share with us a recent trip, a vacation, a cruise, maybe even a day trip right here in New England. You'll share your photos and talk about the very interesting places you have visited. You can speak about the transportation, the flight, the hotels, the shipping, shopping, the food, everything. The folks you met, the people you liked, you didn't like, we don't care. Just contact us here at Access Framingham TV and let us know you'd like to be a guest. You can phone AFTV at 508-875-5434 or send an email message to info@accessfram.tv. We will get in touch with you to make arrangements for you to be on the show here on Access Framingham TV. If you don't live in Massachusetts, we would be pleased to assist you with your travel to the Access Framingham new studios. And now, let me welcome back to Travels with Jack, my guest and our friend, Joel Winett.
Hello, Jack.
Joel's back. A little brief biography. Joel Winett, resident of Framingham for almost 50 years. Joel was a software manager for many years, a graduate of Massachusetts Institute of Technology.
MIT.
Okay. Columbia, he got a master's in computer science, then went back to MIT.
I got another graduate.
And got another master's. He already had to redo some classes, but they gave him a master's anyway. Married to Ruth, 50 years, 3 children, 7 grandchildren, more on the way. He says no. 40-year career in computer sciences, including working on U.S. space programs, and was also involved in the birth of the internet, which is pretty interesting.
Long time ago.
Joel has always been active for some 40-plus years in Framingham Town Meeting, and he spent 2 years as the elected town moderator. He currently is chair of the Town Meeting Rules Committee and a candidate for the Charter Commission. I can't vote, I'm a Southborough resident, but I'll acknowledge he'll be a good candidate and
a big issue for
commission, and he's going to be, you'll have a chance to vote for Joel March 29th, 2016. And Joel has shared with us his China and East European trips. He's been on Travels with Jack. And he has been to India. I'm going to drag him in to do that one if he has enough pictures for us. And he's going to Panama this February because he's going to redesign the software system for the canal.
No way.
I'm thrilled you're here. So, we're going to get a map up shortly to show everyone where Barcelona, Spain is. And tell me a little bit, what made you pick Barcelona?
I didn't appreciate what I was going to see when I got there, but I've been to Spain before. I was in Madrid and Cordova and Granada, and I never got to the eastern part of Spain. Barcelona is a world-class city. It was we had 8 days there, lots to see. It's a very good walking city. and it's an amazing city.
You loved it.
I loved it. It's probably one of the few cities I'd go back to, but basically I don't go back to some place I've been.
Yeah.
There's enough places in the world to see.
Well, here we go. Here's the map I promised everybody. France is in the lower left corner in green. Spain is kind of beige with the arrow. And there is Barcelona on the Mediterranean Sea. So they do have a nice beach.
Yes, the people go swimming there.
Yep. And this is what, some bicycles you can rent?
It's a traveling city, and those look nice and shiny red bicycles right opposite the music hall. But the first few slides you're going to see are some street scenes. You've got pictures of bikes, and the next you're going to see is some clocks. Here's a clock store.
Look at them. Wow.
It looks a little bit distorted.
Yes.
But basically, I think that's the way they were displaying it.
Okay.
And so that's the inside of the clock store with some mannequins there as well. But all the stores are kind of interesting and set up for tourists as well. And this is now you're looking at the jazz at Four Cats. That's a restaurant where Picasso ate.
Picasso basically lived and painted out of Barcelona.
He lived in Barcelona for 16 years.
Yep.
He was not a supporter of Franco, but he came back, and there's a lot of Picasso in
and
Barcelona.
If I recall, there's a Picasso museum.
Picasso Museum.
I remember that.
So,
chocolate.
And of course, that's me. I'm a chocoholic. And so there was a chocolate box store. We were there. And then this is, we're now looking at another cafe. This is a modernistic cafe. And you see the Catalan flags, the yellow and red striped. Barcelona is in the Catalan area region, actually, and they were considering becoming a separate state. There's a separatist movement. A separate country.
Yes.
And there were some marches and demonstrations while we were there, too.
While you were there. But am I corrected? I think it's going to come up on a ballot measure.
I think it failed.
It failed?
I think it did, yeah. So there you see those flags around, and it was founded in 1920, and it's still modernist decorations around. And so the first thing we did is had a guide, a walking tour. See, Barcelona's a walking city.
Yep.
And here's our guide showing some pictures of Picasso. And near there is the Picasso Art School, where there it is, where Picasso lived. In the same area is a underground synagogue.
Really?
It's called the Call, C-A-L-L. It's a 12th to 14th century synagogue. It's been restored underground, and that was one of our destinations to find where it was. And obviously there are tourists there. This is a picture of some sculpture on the main street, very modernistic. And as you know, there's old in Barcelona, and now they're really trying to be modernistic, and the artwork and design
I'm
is
sure
different.
you'll get into showing us some of the Gaudi architecture, which to me today still, well, I don't want to interrupt you. This
is just street scenes.
a statue. Anyone in particular?
You know.
That's okay.
I guess didn't do all the research to see who he was.
No.
But
we
there
won't
he is
pick on you.
standing behind. So you're looking at some of the old city right now, with the frescoes on the buildings, and then we'll get to the highlights of the trip, which is the Gaudi architecture and buildings. That's the music hall we're looking at right now, Palau Music Hall, designed by Gaudi, one of his first places he designed. And we had a concert. We went to a concert.
And for those of our viewers not familiar, Gaudi is a very famous Spanish architect who did very unusual buildings
you'll
in
see
the
the-
late 1800s, am I right?
19 as well. Gaudi lived from 1852 to 1926.
Okay.
So in the early 20th century, he was doing some of his work. And when we travel, we like to go to a musical performance.
Yes, you've always had videos and stuff for us.
And
yes.
sometimes we take videos in it too. So, and this is a picture of the program that we had at this guitar performance in the Gaudi Museum, or not, a concert poster.
In the concert hall there.
And now we're doing more street shopping.
That's Ruth, by the way.
That's my wife, in red. She's all red is her color.
Oh, okay.
And you can see how interesting that shop is. Different plates, colorful plates all over the place. They almost look Mexican too
Yes.
to me.
Well, you know, Spain had colonized Mexico, so it makes sense.
So when I see those on the display, out comes my camera, and we take some pictures. And even if it's just
tiles, too.
tiles, if it's just designs, I think it makes a good picture. And then
Even today, you know, Spain does a lot of tile manufacturing.
we went to a factory.
Oh, you did? Let me sneak this in. I don't know if Bill's our everything. Joel is now taking his photographs and putting them into these little brochure books that he makes. He does these with, is it Shutterfly or
Shutterfly. We'll give them a bit.
He uploads all his pictures and puts them together with titles like Design on the Wall, the name of the castle. This is the ceiling in the lobby of the Miro Museum. I don't know if the cameras can catch it, but I was so impressed with this because I'm still very old-fashioned. I'm taking 4x6 prints and shoving them in those plastic folders and putting them together, whereas these books are fabulous.
You have to be retired and have the time to spend on the computer with the pictures.
I'm waiting for one of the television networks to pick up the show so I can take it easy.
But the Gaudi book, this one book is my Barcelona book, but then I make another book which is called Barcelona Artworks, and you can see from this cover, this is a Gaudi rooftop display, and there's another in the back of the book, a plate that I looked at, and so this particular book is all about artwork. And sometimes it's about museums, and so there's things that you see in a museum. And
so this is just a terrific way to do a trip. If somebody comes over for dinner, a guest, a friend,
or they're going. If somebody's going to a
somewhere
trip,
and you want to bring a quick conversation piece, you show them your fabulous book with I love it. I really do. All right, back to the screen.
Okay, so now we got Gaudi apartments. That's the first few slides here about the outside, ornate, and a lot of circular. That's a rooftop cement piece of work with stones.
Did in a mosaic.
It's a mosaic of stones in glass
Beautiful.
and cement. And this is early turn of the century, 20th century. You look at an apartment house now like that, it's modern. It's unusual.
Did you ask them if these are considered very expensive and choice properties, or they didn't give you any information?
They're right in the heart of the city,
so they
right
are
on the main street.
Premium places.
Some of them basically are museums.
Oh, okay.
I say some of them. There aren't that many. We're talking about 3. But then you go into the apartment and you can look from. They have in the center. They have an inside windows, and you can look from one apartment to the next.
Oh, really?
And I saw somebody sitting in a chair reading in their apartment.
So he was very.
Now look at that.
More of his work.
Nothing square. That's in the courtyard from a building. He was ahead of his time.
Oh, yeah.
And then again, as an architect, he was funded to do whatever he wanted to do. He had the backing and the money.
Really?
I mean, to do, design something like you see on the screen here. This is a rooftop example of the heating vents. Don't just stick heating vents on the top of a roof.
He made them art.
They made them art, yeah. Cover them with cement, put some stones in them, and make them unusual. And so people go up to the roof. It's a museum. Look at it. This is called Casa Batllo, and this is the rooftop area of the apartment house. And so the rooftop area is open. And in this particular scene,
And that's you.
that's me and my wife and I, and they have a camera mounted outside, facing the building. So you walk out
and
into
they take
that
a picture.
You walk out into that balcony, and you're looking at the street, and you're looking, and then you go back in, and they say, "Here's the picture. How would you like to buy the picture?" And it's a good picture.
It's an early selfie.
It's definitely that. And now this is going to another building. This is La Pedrera. It's another apartment house with rooftop sculptures. It looks like wood, actually.
Yes.
And there's the next one is called Snakes on Trees. Well, this is the basement of one of them. That one is called Snakes on Trees. It's just something. Look at that! How unusual that is. What is it? Is it? It's glass and cement. You can see a little bit of behind it, the skyline. And I don't know. Are you an artist or are you an architect?
He was both. He was both. His buildings are fabulous. This is what just arches going into.
This is the basement of the building. So when you go through the building, they show how the architect designed things, and it's how it's built. Now, Gaudi also did furniture, and he did household items.
Like Frank Lloyd Wright. Frank Lloyd Wright also got into furniture and house. Yes.
That's right. And so here he does a sewing machine, a typewriter, an Underwood typewriter is in this building, very old. And how about a gramophone?
Wow.
To me, that's an interesting picture of history. I mean, my kids would say, what is that? That's what they call your hi-fi system that you now carry around in your cell phone.
Yeah.
But that's the way you had music those days.
That's right. That's right.
And then we're going to take tours.
That looks like a Michael Jackson figure.
Well, this is called Entertainment on the Street. This guy's all covered with plaster, and he's just standing there. Now, he will move, and he'll collect your money if you want to put it in that hat. But it's your entertainment and walking on the streets. That's a great city to do things. This is in a subway. Barcelona has a subway.
Oh, and look at this is the subway. You mean with all that fancy tile work?
That's tile work in the subway. And
we'll have to send Governor Baker a picture of this when
he wants to decorate our subways.
The T.
So here we see street musicians. New York City has these. I don't know if Boston has subway musicians or not. Maybe they do. And they're good musicians, but obviously when the throngs of people go by, they can toss a few coins in the violin box. And when you're tired, you stop at a cafe and have some hot chocolate. And of course, I'm the chocoholic, and so we had our hot chocolate coffee break. And then we get ready for tours outside of Barcelona as well.
Now, Barcelona, I'm trying to remember, there was a World's Fair in Barcelona where they had redeveloped a whole area near the waterfront.
Yes.
Did you get over there? I remember tons of stores and restaurants.
There's an arena that's still there.
Okay.
They had to prop it up and fix it a bit.
Oh.
So it's an arena. And then they had the Olympics in Barcelona, 1992 Olympics actually.
Okay.
And you'll see that. I'll be up to the Olympic fairgrounds. But we're going to now we've seen some, had a couple days going around the town of city of Barcelona, and we like to get outside the city. And if you remember the map, it's not too far from France.
Right.
So we had a long 11-hour day. We took a tour to the Pyrenees.
Okay, which is a mountain region.
Mountain regions, the border France and Spain.
Okay.
We considered actually taking one that would take us into France for a day.
This is a town in the Pyrenees?
This is a town in the Pyrenees. It's called Vic.
And very different look than Barcelona.
This is ancient.
Really? Okay.
Ancient towns, a corner square, a bell tower.
So Middle Ages.
It is really Middle Ages, and they have tourists. They have this is a stone church from 1786.
How did you lay out the trip? You went on the computer and studied. I'll let you talk, but when we get a chance, fill me in how you picked where you went.
I got to where I was going by making my own flights and hotels. The web is wonderful.
Yep.
You can, in fact, my current trip, I've been spending today on planning my next trip. But in this Barcelona trip, you look ahead, we want to take a day tour.
Yep.
So you get on the web and, okay, there's a day tour to the Pyrenees. We'll do that as a guided tour. So there were 2 other couples in the 8-passenger van.
Yep.
And we were with this other couple. The guy was from California and he moved to Texas and now he's coming to Connecticut. And you'll see a couple pictures of him. And you get to meet other people.
Yeah.
In that case, they were Americans, but they traveled with us on this Pyrenees tour. And then sometimes we'll go by ourselves, get on the train and just go someplace on ourselves. But now we're talking about 18th century buildings, bell towers.
Did you find a French influence in this area?
No, I don't think this is French.
I mean, I know you're still in Spain.
This is Spain. I didn't see a French influence at all.
No, okay.
This is not Byzantine, but it's ancient, buildings. And this is the mayor of the town.
Oh, the mayor
Vic.
met you. Okay.
And a little special guide, and he gave my wife the keys to the church, so she's going to open up the church, and we'll go inside the church and take a look around. And next to the church was not burial grounds, that's crypts.
Yeah.
Above ground crypts that they use, what crypts they use for. People, you can see, are putting flowers on them. Now, why would they build crypts? I know it's very rocky, so it's hard to dig in the ground. And so that's a historic cemetery. It's actually the town of Noir. So we left our car at this town, and now we're going to go up to the mountains. We get on this train. It's a modern train.
Looks like it.
And we're going to go to a resort just to see. This is a ski resort in the mountains.
Beautiful.
It's summer. It's October time. So
now,
it's not
is
ski
this
time.
a hotel?
It's a hotel.
Okay, because it looks almost like a Mormon church.
It could be. I think there's even a swimming pool right in front there on the right.
Okay.
We didn't stay here. It's a resort. And there's a lake. There's a beautiful lake. You walk around. You can take a hike. This is kind of in a plateau. So there's the mountains and the lakes, and very peaceful.
It looks lovely. Oh, wow, look at this.
All right, we're leaving. We're done with the Pyrenees, and we get back down to the museums and back down to Barcelona. Now we're going to go in a section of Barcelona is where the Miro Museum is, and then you were going to see later going up a cable car and to a castle. But here...
Now, what is this, stained glass?
ceilings. It's a fresco painted
Okay.
ceiling.
Oh, painted. Okay.
Painted.
And this is a Miro painting.
This is a Miro painting. These days the museums allow you to take pictures, not with flash, because that's disruptive, but you can take a picture of a painting at the MFA, Boston Museum, or New York, and I was in last weekend at the Clark Museum in the Berkshires, and I took pictures. So this is now the Miro Museum, and it's the rooftop. Again,
now I know Miro did painting. Did Miro do other work too?
Yes, he did architecture. He's an architect,
really?
sculpture.
He was an architect. Okay.
There's, I don't know what you call that. That's on the roof. It's a sculpture. So he's an artist.
Okay.
It's a rooftop museum with sculpture. And I had to be selective. Now we're up in the castle, and that's the top of the Catalan flag again. Looks a little cloudy and overcast this day, and it's a place where people mill around. And there's a castle with some interesting things inside the castle, cells. And there's
this I don't remember. Go ahead.
That's the cable car. And there's a view of the city. It's a big city. So you get to go up on the cable car. You can look down at the city. Get the perspective of the waterfront, the ships coming in. The picture came out pretty clear.
That must be where I remember the.
It's the harbor.
The area I told you they had all the shops and everything. There was a big area, and the beach, I think, was beyond.
Yeah, the beach is beyond the main city, yes. But not far.
I went to the beach.
But that was called up at Montjuic, Mount Jewish, or Jewish Mountain, Mount Jewic.
Oh, really?
And that's where the castle is, and we were looking down.
They had it named after the Jews.
That's what they called it.
Must have been a Jewish guy up there peddling something.
Or whatever. And now we're going to the Olympic Stadium. This is the front. The 1992 Summer Olympics were held.
So much older than that.
Well, it's
okay.
I don't know what about the original and the entrance
you mean it could have been something else originally?
This could have been something else.
Yeah,
That's the entrance.
Yep.
That's the torch. Obviously, Olympics have a torch.
Yep.
Yeah, it was a kind of an overcast day, but again, that's a postcard. So I won't take credit for that picture, but it did show the Olympic Stadium. Which is what we wanted to see.
Knowing you, I figured you brought a drone with you, and you had a drone set up with a camera to circle around the top.
That's the new way to do it. Next time we'll take a helicopter, and that's one of our prime pictures of my wife and I are standing by the inside of the stadium, and we asked some other person around there to take a picture of us. So and that was in 1992. Barcelona applied for the 1936 Olympics.
Oh.
And Berlin won instead of Barcelona.
I got you.
And then it took a number of years, and they finally came back to Barcelona. And one of the problems with Olympics is that you build a stadium,
you don't use it,
and then you don't use it for a while. You build housing for the Olympics. And I guess Boston had that consideration and turned it down.
Boston, to my recollection, the people who were against the Olympics said they were for the Olympics as long as no public monies were used. And they couldn't seem to sneak through the situation without using some public money.
There would be an overrun.
And
but they do leave some remnants of Olympics afterwards.
And it's a good opportunity to redevelop certain areas.
Transportation is a big one. Like I say, the subway system in Barcelona is superb. Now, not like out here in Framingham where it's all automobile traffic.
Yeah.
But when you go to a foreign city.
Oh, look at this with the water.
Okay, so we came down from the Miro Museum and the Olympic Stadium. We're actually walking down, and this is the Museum of Catalona. It's an art museum.
Oh, another art museum. Okay.
That's the art museum, and fountains in front of it.
Beautiful.
And we had to decide, where should I stand to take the picture of the fountains? And at this time, this was October.
These are street artists, I'm assuming.
Well, this was Halloween.
Oh!
Remember this? And they celebrate Halloween as a time.
I was in Salem on Halloween.
Look at they time to get dressed up.
Yep.
And of course, they didn't mind a tourist with a camera. And they're kind of exotic a little bit.
Yeah, no, they look the same, and they could be Americans.
They could
There's
be.
the famous Gaudi church.
That's a famous the
Famiglia?
Barcelona church.
Yeah.
This is not the Sagrada Familia.
Oh, this isn't?
This is the cathedral. This is the Barcelona Cathedral.
Oh, it looks similar.
That one is finished. That one's done.
Okay.
But now this one, we're now going to talk about Sagrada Familia.
That's what I remember.
Which it started to build it in 1882, a few
Yep.
years ago. And it was opened in 1910. So before it even got opened, it was 28 years before it even opened. And they still haven't finished it. They say in 1926 that, which is still another 10 years from now.
2026.
2026.
Yep.
Another 10 years from now,
It'll finish.
They may be still finishing. So this is different. The outside, I've got some pictures here of the sculptures and that are built on the outside.
It's amazing to realize that this was started in the 1800s.
That's right.
And look how contemporary they did this.
That is kind of
these
modernistic.
sculptures. Absolutely. Absolutely.
And that's modernistic. And with on the walls of the there's the stained glass mini, but there's also the Psalms.
Really?
Engraved. What you're looking at
in
there is a
brass or
wall
something. Yep.
with the Psalms, and the stained glass windows, very vertical. They say that those posts are like trees, and they're like any cathedral, stained glass windows. But the supports, Gaudi was very concerned about not having these supports get in the way. So he had to use architectural spans for the ceilings and the roof. And even, like in any place, there's a tower where you can take an elevator to go up. But Gaudi's Sagrada Familia is the highlight of a tour to Barcelona.
Yes, that's what I remember a lot from Barcelona.
That and the two apartment buildings.
But I remember that church being so fabulous. It was just fabulous.
And then there's a picture of Gaudi's tomb. He was killed in a this is the inside. I don't know. It's an altar.
He was killed how?
He was killed in an automobile accident.
Really? Oh.
But not automobile. It was a streetcar.
Really?
And he was an older man.
Yep.
And he crossed in front of a streetcar and got killed.
Oh.
And he was not wealthy either. He was in a what do you call it? The
facility kind of thing?
No, he was on the streets, and they took him to the morgue.
Oh.
And they didn't know who he was until he was a pauper.
Oh. I never heard that.
And so the death of Gaudi, you walk by yourself as an old man, you should carry some identification on you. But eventually things got worked out, and they have a tomb near the Sagrada Familia. That's the tomb.
That is for him.
That's the Antonio Gaudi. There's a tomb, and another place to see, and whatever you do in a cathedral. Now, there's one other Gaudi structure. This is apartment houses, and I don't know if you see anything like this or what's in his mind. You've got steps and these pillars, and later on you're going to get what you see in the middle there. You can go on the top of that, and there's a park or a plaza above those pillars that you see in the middle there. So we'll go up there. There's some dragons painting on the walls. Barcelona's a colorful city.
Yes.
You know, and that's now more recent. I don't know when those paintings were done.
I remember also all the young people had motorcycles. There were tons of.
Well, you saw in the beginning that we had those
bikes.
The bikes.
But I remember
motorcycles?
a lot of motorcycles.
Well, maybe now we've gone into from motorcycles to bikes.
Well, they may be richer now and have cars.
But street decorations.
Street artists.
I don't know. That's really. You can look into that and what the symbolisms might be. Religious, philosophical, but it's an opportunity for me to take pictures.
Oh yeah, no, you've got plenty of pictures.
And so now you saw before those columns.
Yes.
We're at the plaza above all those steps that we looked at.
Yep.
And this was built as an apartment house, and the intent was on this plaza was going to be vendors would sell their wares.
Oh, really? An open
market,
a
street market, and it never quite turned out that way.
But I see they built all kinds of seating along the wall.
Seating along the wall, you can rest after doing climbing there, and full of people, of course, but unusual. And you get it's a little bit of a perspective of the rest of the city. Let's say we got there by taxi from the other, and we left by streetcar.
Okay.
And so this is more of the stone.
I'm amazed that this stuff's well over 100 years old.
Yeah. Oh.
And look how it seems to have maintained itself.
I'll suspect that the city fathers of Barcelona
take care of it.
Take the admission. There's an admission fee.
Yeah.
To get up in
but
this
even
area.
so, I mean, you know, the stuff looks pretty good.
And that's all tiles and a dragon. What have you, and of course another opportunity to have somebody take a picture of me, and so I'll be along those.
Look at the stairs. Look at the
And I don't know what you would call those things on the left and the right above the wall.
Ballistals, I guess.
Just decorations and the architects in the architect's mind.
Oh, fabulous.
So I would recommend a tour to Barcelona, and it's a city where you can spend 8 days in and seeing lots of different things.
Tell me about the food.
And the food, well, we'll get to some of the food too.
All right.
But there's a lot of outdoor shops. You know, I like the idea where you can have a meal sitting outdoors on a
cafe. You had
cafe.
good weather too.
Yeah.
I think they have pretty nice weather year round. Am I right?
Yeah, I think so. Actually, we did have some rain.
Yeah.
But they do have a plaza. Ramblas is the main street, which is night. You'd call that Times Square at night. So there's a lot to do. And now we're at the Contemporary Art Museum. I don't know what's more interesting, what's in the museum or the museum the outside. What I found interesting here, this is right outside the museum.
Oh, you were telling me about this.
And the glass is the part of the museum, but they built a skate park.
Yep.
Now Framingham is working on building a skate park in Framingham. And here I came back with videos of kids going into the downtown area and using their skateboards. And it's an activity for teenagers to adults.
Okay. We're going to have the Joel Winett skateboard park.
Oh, no, I'm not funding it, but I will.
You'll participate.
There's Ramblas. That's the main street.
Oh, it's almost like Lincoln Road or something, and open without the cars.
Yeah, Lincoln Road in where?
In like Miami Beach.
Oh, Miami Beach has that something like look. That. So those little huts, triangular sheds, you sell ice cream or other food. And there we go. There's a pastry window. And so we'll stop for pastry and get our sweets.
Did you see a lot of tourists? Do you get the feeling?
Oh, look at that! If you looked at that street scene.
Well, I mean, it could be people who live there, but did you see? You got the feeling they get a lot of tourists.
It's a lot of tourists.
A lot of tourists.
Okay. A lot of hotels.
Yep.
And of course, they're the shopkeepers, so they have to come and go, and the businessmen as well. But there are a lot of Barcelona is a tourist city.
Yeah.
And a food place. So you get some.
These look like
meringues and all colors and chocolate and strawberry and what have you. And then a couple of the next store, here's some fans.
Oh, look at this.
A store
this looks
of just,
Asian.
Just fans. Yeah, it's I think it is Asian. But it makes a fan store.
Yeah.
And the next one you're going to see is a stocking store. Buy your stockings.
That almost looks like art in itself.
That's why I take the picture.
Yep.
And the next one are boots. A boot store, a shoe store. That one is, well, the men's boot. I guess those must be ladies' boots, I would think.
Ladies' boots, I'd say.
Ladies' boots.
And the hams. Now, those are almost like a prosciutto.
Yeah, I think that's
Spanish
exactly what it is.
yeah.
So this is in a restaurant that we had dinner, and we had some wine and grapes and what have you.
Yeah, Spain has a lot of olive oil. They have a lot of wines. They have a lot of food.
Spanish wine, sangria.
Yeah.
One of the restaurants we went to, I had some sangria.
And they do a big food export business. They do cheeses.
Yeah.
They have a lot of fish.
And it's on the ocean.
Yeah. No, they're very big exporters.
And they know how. The restaurants were all good.
They never developed much in chocolate, though. I know you love chocolate, but I've never seen
Spanish
much in
chocolate?
Spanish chocolate. The French do a lot
I don't know
of
if they export it or not.
No, not much.
But they like gelato. That's the
Yeah.
ice cream vendor on Ramblas. And I have an ice cream cone. Do you like chocolate or do you like
That's a strawberry.
A strawberry frangola, mango.
Oh, everything.
And I don't know what pitufo is. Is that blue?
I don't know. It looks like cotton candy.
Blue ice cream. The kids would go for that, I'm sure. Blue and yellow ice cream. Well, we've seen enough of the streets of Barcelona.
Yep.
It's time to now take a tour outside of Barcelona.
Okay.
On our own. I guess, you've asked about how we get around. Barcelona is a good walking city. We had day guides. So we had a Picasso tour.
Yep.
You sign up for a 1 hour walk the streets with a guide. And also
How was your hotel in Barcelona?
we had a very basic hotel.
Yeah. Were you happy with it?
Oh, we were happy with it.
Okay.
Unfortunately, my wife got a cold and was sick.
Okay.
So she spent a day in the hotel.
Oh.
And she said, go. I wasn't sick, so I went off on a tour. Actually, the Montserrat, I went up to a mountain village on a tour.
Okay.
Myself. She missed that tour. We had planned in advance. But now she got better, and we're going to take a local train for 1 hour, and we're now going to Girona. So this is street signs. You see Cathedral to the right, Carl Jou, the Jewish street.
They call it the Jewish street, really?
Right. St. Nicholas to the left.
For some of our viewers, the Jews were very active in Spain till I think about, mid-1400s?
Well, 1492 was the Spanish Inquisition.
That's when the Inquisition started, which was when they evicted all the Jewish. You could either leave or convert to Catholicism.
And by 1492, the Jews had left.
They had left. And many went to Morocco, Tunisia, Algeria. So those areas which had been in Spain, we talk about in the news today the caliphate of the Muslims. A lot of Spain was under Muslim control in the 1100s, 1200s.
You go to Granada, you go to a Muslim church,
a mosque,
and blue stone, and it actually, you see where it converts. At one time, the same building may have been Catholic.
Yep.
Then it became Muslim.
Yep.
It became Jewish.
Yeah.
And it came back to Muslim again. And this was in another trip.
Yes.
I don't know if we had my trip slides of Madrid and Cordova, Granada, Seville. That's another part of Spain.
But if you follow the history a little bit of Spain, with the Muslim control, with the caliphate and everything, and then the Jews, who would be infidels, then went to all these Muslim countries and lived very, for the most part, I won't say perfectly, but got along in the Muslim culture very well, pretty well.
Much more accommodating.
Much more accommodating. In fact, I think in the 1920s, Baghdad, Iraq was 20% Jewish. So then Israel came and many of the Jews left, and we're in a whole new cycle. But this stuff that's going on today, I'm veering a little bit, with the Muslims being anti-infidel and all this is new stuff, because for hundreds and hundreds, maybe thousands of years, not quite thousands, because Islam is late 900s, the Muslim people got along with many other people.
But it puts things into perspective.
Yes.
When you tour different countries.
When you travel, you see this.
And
yeah.
I haven't been to Turkey.
You'll see in Turkey, the Blue Mosque was a mosque, a church. No, I think it was built by Constantinople as a Christian church. And then it's now converted to a mosque.
So,
and you see this.
But that's sometime when that part of the world gets a little more stable.
I love Turkey, but they're busy. They're blowing people up, so we'll skip it.
We'll skip that now. Well, we're now off to Girona, which again was a Jewish town, a community in Girona. And we saw the street signs. This is... anywhere that's a church at this point, but there's a museum. There's Roman baths in Girona.
Oh, really?
So there's a.
You remember when you were in Budapest? You probably went to the baths.
Yes, we
Yeah.
did. We swimming pools.
Yeah.
A bath. Yeah.
Yeah, they have great baths and water.
But in Girona, we went to the museums. And they show you can see the books that are displayed there, the murals, and that's a mural on the ceiling of no, that's a floor mural. That's the floor of a Roman bath.
It must be mosaic.
Mosaic,
yeah.
Painted or mosaic?
Painted, really.
That's the pool. That's the Roman bath with the columns and.
Yep.
And this was just,
I never think of the Romans controlling Spain, but I guess they must have.
Yeah, especially in this part. And then there are museums, though. So that's an alleyway. And there's some plaques on that alleyway that marked where the Jews had been and what their address had been. So this is this is now at the Jewish Museum in
this is
Girona.
a little town, basically?
This is a little town.
Really?
There's two halves of the town. There's the old town and the new town, with a river between it.
Okay.
And you have to, from the train station, we had to walk across the river and go to the old town and to the sites that we wanted to see in the old town. So you go to museums, you walk the streets, you have something to eat.
Yeah, it's interesting.
And that's what I can do in retirement. Is to travel.
We're going to put you back to work, Joel.
No, I don't want to go back to work.
I know everyone I talk to is retired, so they're okay with it.
So the last thing you would see is some. You look at the river. Oh, those are students in the synagogue taking a tour.
Now,
Museum.
This is another Jewish museum.
This is a Jewish museum.
So it sounds like there's quite a few of these Jewish museums.
In Spain, there were a lot of Jews that become museums. So these were, I would say high school kids learning about the history of their country.
Yeah.
Taking notes, obviously. I don't remember if we got a chance to talk to very many of them in this trip.
You know, I see in the world today in the news with France, and I think you're going to end up with a lot of Jewish museums in France too, because I think what's going on there, the Jewish people are not feeling safe.
Yes, there's trouble there.
A lot of trouble.
Anti-Semitism comes back up.
And I see even the French people I don't think are so comfortable.
But so I think if you put up our last picture, there's that river I talked about.
This is not such a little town, these two towns.
This is, Girona, I don't know. I should look up what the population is.
City.
It's probably, might be as many as 20,000 people.
Oh, really?
10,000, 20,000.
It looks much bigger
I'm
than I
guessing I'll have to
pictured
check
it.
it. But there's a bridge we're crossing over from one area to the other. And so I think that was an opportunity to take a picture. And so I use that at the back of my book.
Oh, okay.
So we have our book, and that ends my slideshow. And what's left are in my books. So that last one here is in the back cover of my book.
These are Joel's custom books, so you can't go to the bookstore and get them.
And then on the other one here, I have a shield in the Girona Museum, all provided opportunities for me to take pictures.
Now, tell me a little bit about what you're planning for Panama. You're going to Panama in February.
Well, that's called, the obvious thing, I'm sure you could tell me, it's called the Panama Canal.
Yep.
And a lot of tours. You do a transit tour. You can actually get on a boat.
So what are you going to do? Are you going to take a cruise ship down there? Or you're flying?
We're flying.
Okay.
Direct flight from Boston to Panama City.
Oh, there is a direct flight, really? Okay.
And we have a hotel.
Yep.
And the first day we'll wander on our own.
Yep.
There's a Gehry Museum, a museum that designed by Gehry.
Oh, okay.
And it's called a bio museum. I have to figure out when I come back.
All right.
But the museum itself is Gehry.
Yep.
So that's one of our stops. There's old Panama, and an area you go looking at the old city, like we looked in Spain.
Right. Right.
What's in an old city. But they also have a wide street where there are shops, and I think it's 5 miles long.
Okay.
And so that will be part of the touring.
So you've done a lot of research already.
I do my research beforehand.
Yep.
And then when I come back, I have to figure out what I saw. So we're going to do some walking on our own.
You going to do any beach sitting in there? Or
we might take a boat to San Blas.
What is San Blas?
San Blas is an area on the Atlantic side. Panama has both the Pacific and the Atlantic.
Okay.
The canal obviously cuts through them, and Panama City is on the Pacific side.
Oh, okay.
And we're gonna have one of those tours. We take a half day or full day tour on the canal itself. So we'll be on a boat, on a pleasure boat, for 3 hours in the canal itself.
Oh, wow.
And there's a whole spiel. We'll be tell us about how it was built and the engineering.
And I think they just upgraded it.
In 2014 they widened it and upgraded it. Actually cut through a different area at one part. So we're going to do that. And then again, we're going to have to go out into the countryside. So we wanted to go to a place called Burnett, which is either a 7-hour drive.
Oh, boy.
And thought twice about that.
Oh.
We decided to fly.
Good.
For $40, you can
that's all they charge you?
from Panama City to a city called David.
Yeah.
And then an hour ride by car to Burnett.
And what's cooking in Burnett?
Coffee plantations.
Oh, interesting.
So we've got a coffee plantation tour.
Oh, that'd be
hiking,
nice.
Birding, if you want to go look at birds and rainforest, or not rainforest, birding and hiking.
Oh, so you've got a busy schedule there.
So I made those reservations today. I made the hotel reservation in Burnett and arranged for a tour there. And then when we get back, we're only going for 2 days, flying up and we'll be there in 2 hours and take a tour and stay
that
overnight.
makes sense rather than driving 7 hours. Plus, you don't know what's going on in between Panama City and Boquete. It's not like driving from here to Springfield.
Well, it's still a 7-hour drive up, and you got 7-hour drive back.
Too much.
That's a 2-day trip.
Yeah.
So here we can fly up, have a sightseeing in the afternoon.
Yep.
Sightsee in the morning.
Makes sense.
And we take a 6 o'clock flight home or back to Panama City. And so I'll come back and tell you all about Panama City.
I'm going to want you to. And then one other question. When you're in Panama, are you planning any trips to the neighbor, El Salvador, any of those places?
We've been to other countries. I think it's, we've been
Panama
to Belize.
itself, you think will be enough
We've
of
been
a
to
trip.
Belize, and we've been to Costa Rica.
Yeah.
Those are different trips. But
Yeah.
nowadays, if this is kind of like 7 nights, well, we just made it. We took 1 night out to go to Boquete.
Yeah.
But 7 nights in 1 hotel, you don't have to worry about unpacking.
I know exactly what you're talking about. You get there and unpack, and that's where you are. Because it's a lot to be, as they say, schlepping everything around.
But there's a lot to see. And besides the canal, everybody goes for the canal.
Yeah.
The cruise ships go to the canal. But like I was saying, there's the old city.
You know, I'm looking forward.
There are museums.
I'm going to ask Bill to book you and Andrea, our associate producer, and get you going. And we're looking to add another associate producer. So if any of our viewers are interested, please call the station here and ask for Bill and leave a message, or even leave a message for Jack. I'll be happy to call you back and see if you can might be interested in getting into television and help us out with putting the shows together.
This is all motivating. I have to put my slides together and my books together and recall.
Books are great. The books are great.
It's a year ago. It was 2014 that we went to Barcelona.
Joel, thank you so much.
Very much,
Good
Jack.
luck with your
It's
election. Good luck. And folks, thank you very much for sharing this show with us. I hope you enjoy it, and a happy, healthy New Year.